Hey everyone! Before we begin, do me a favor. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit that magic button right now. Why? Because today we're breaking down the story of one of the strangest, most brilliant, and most forgotten pistols in history. A weapon that fired backwards. Well, almost. It's a story that has it all. Secret shipments to revolutionaries, world wars, and physics that defies common sense. And most importantly, you'll definitely have something to say in the comments after this. So subscribe so you don't miss the ending, and get ready to comment. Let's go. When we hear a gunshot, our brain paints a simple picture. A finger pulls the trigger, the hammer strikes, the bullet flies out of the barrel forward. That's it. But in reality, at that moment, a real drama of forces unfolds inside the weapon. A true one-actor physics theater. And the main law of this theater wasn't written by a gunsmith, but by the physicist Sir Isaac Newton. His third law: for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Simply put, if you push the world pushes you back with exactly the same force. Imagine, you're in a boat pushing off from the shore. The boat moves away from the shore, right? Now imagine you're on a skateboard and you throw a heavy weight forward with all your might. What happens? You roll backward. That's recoil. In a weapon, the bullet is that weight. When the gunpowder ignites, it turns into a huge volume of superheated gas. This gas pushes the bullet forward through the barrel with monstrous force. And, according to that unbreakable Newton's law, it pushes everything else backward with exactly the same force. And what is everything else? The cartridge case, the bolt, basically all the innards of the pistol. Designers, not wanting to waste this overflowing energy, long ago learned to use it. The most common method is to direct some of the propellant gases through a small hole in the barrel onto a piston. The piston jerks, and this energy is used to eject the spent case, cock the hammer, and feed a new cartridge. The smart, reliable, it works in millions of Kalashnikov rifles all over the world. But what if I told you there were inventors who looked at this process differently? What if you could make use of not the recoil, but something else? What if the main engine for reloading was not the barrel or bolt moving backward, but its movement forward? Sounds like madness, right? Like driving a car by pushing it from inside the front bumper. Absurd. And it was precisely on this, with all due respect, absurdity, that one of the most unusual mass-produced pistols in history was built. Meet the Schwarzlose pistol, model 1908. To understand the genius and madness of this idea, let's get to the root. Let's recall our bullet in the barrel. When the gas pushes it, the bullet doesn't just fly. It rubs with enormous force against the rifling inside the barrel, biting into it to spin and fly stable. This friction is a colossal force. And what if we used precisely that? What if we made it so that at the moment of firing, under the force of the bullet's friction, the barrel moves not backward but forward? Yes, you heard right. The bullet rushes outward, and the barrel, as if gripping it, moves to meet it. This is that rarest principle of operation. Reloading by the barrel moving forward under the force of bullet friction. Imagine the sensation. You're holding in your hands not just a piece of metal, but a physical paradox. You aim, press the trigger. A shot rings out, and in the first fraction of a second, you feel the familiar push into your hand. That's recoil, Newton's law in its pure form. But then something inexplicable happens. The pistol jerks forward, as if someone is pulling it by the barrel. And then, having played its role, the barrel under the action of a powerful spring flies back, and the pistol kicks your hand again, but backward now. Witnesses described firing the Schwarzlose as a strange, muffled sensation, as if the weapon lived its own life, breathing and jerking in the palm. Not just a simple bang-bang, but a push-jerk blow. Can you imagine? This isn't just mechanics. It's a ride. And now let's talk about the man who decided to cheat physics.
Andreas Wilhelm Schwarzlose.
Born in 1867 in Prussia, he followed the classic path of an artilleryman and armorer in the Austro-Hungarian army. This is important. He wasn't a desk dreamer, but a practitioner who knew the troops from the inside. His first pistol from 1892 the world never saw. But he didn't give up. And so, at the turn of the century, the spirit of invention was in the air. Browning, Mauser, Luger, all competing to create the perfect self-loading pistol. And Schwarzlose offers the world his concept. His early model, the Schwarzlose pistol, model 1898, was already a curiosity. It was chambered for the powerful 7.63 by 25 mm Mauser cartridge and was so advanced that it attracted the attention of the Boers in South Africa, fighting their desperate war against the British Empire. And then, the attention of Russian revolutionaries. Yes, a batch of Bolsheviks from the RSDLP planned to purchase a shipment of these pistols for an uprising. But fate, in the form of the Tsarist customs, decided otherwise. The entire shipment was seized at the border. Imagine an alternate history where the storming of the Winter Palace was led with Schwarzlose pistols in hand, but it wasn't meant to be. Now back to our main character, the 1908 model. How did this contraption work? Forget about a separate bolt. The role of the fixed bolt here was played by the pistol's frame itself, its body, and the barrel was movable. Before firing, you manually, by gripping special serrations, pull the barrel backward. It moves, cocking a concealed hammer and picking up the top cartridge from the magazine in the grip. You release the barrel, it flies forward under spring pressure, chambering the cartridge. Done, the pistol is ready. You fire. The magic begins. The bullet, biting into the rifling like a tow rope, pulls the barrel forward with it. The barrel moves, compressing that return spring. Meanwhile, the spent case left behind is pressed against the immovable frame bolt. When the barrel reaches its extreme forward position, the chamber, the rear part of the barrel where the case sits, is essentially stripped off that case. The case is now held by nothing, and an extractor, like a flick of a finger, flings it out of the pistol. And then the spring kicks in. Uncompressing, it sharply pulls the now empty barrel backward. Moving back, the barrel again slides over the top cartridge in the magazine, picks it up, and, at the end of its travel, chambers it into the now free chamber. The hammer is cocked. The cycle is complete. Brilliant? Undoubtedly. Complicated? You bet. It had a clever safety system, a concealed hammer that wouldn't snag on clothing, an automatic grip safety at the front of the grip. Without a proper hold, the pistol wouldn't fire, and a frame safety that had to be pressed by the palm, otherwise the trigger was blocked. Safety top-notch. And here we come to the main mystery. Why didn't such a brilliant, unconventional idea conquer the world? Why are we holding Glocks and Colts today, not Schwarzloses? The answer lies in harsh reality. Reliability. This whole ballet performance with the barrel moving forward-backward was too sensitive to dirt, where the slightest deviation in ammunition. Imagine, the slightest misalignment, a bit more friction, and the delicate balance of forces is disrupted. Jams, misfires, failures became a sad norm. A weapon must work in a trench, in dust, in frost and mud, not in a sterile lab. The Schwarzlose system proved to be a beautiful physics experiment, but a capricious soldier. Therefore, its commercial success was very modest. Only about 8,000 units, a number that, for a major firearms manufacturer, is just a statistical error. The saga of forward movement for pistols died out here. But, and this is an important but, the idea didn't die. It simply evolved, finding its place where its uniqueness was needed. 1965, USA. The Mk-20 Mod 0 automatic 40mm grenade launcher is adopted. And guess what principle it works on? Yes, that's right, with forward barrel recoil. Because for a heavy, slow-flying grenade, this system turned out to be ideal. So the ghost of Schwarzlose materialized in a completely different, formidable weapon. And what about the inventor himself? His fame was brought by a completely different brainchild, the famous Schwarzlose machine gun. Simple, cheap, consisting of only 166 parts, with a delayed blowback action. It went through the crucible of the First and Second World Wars, becoming a symbol of the Austro-Hungarian and later other armies. The irony of fate. The man who dreamed of overturning the world of pistols was made famous by a reliable and unpretentious machine gun. After Germany's defeat in World War I, Schwarzlose worked as a consultant until his death in 1936, leaving behind a legacy of two polar things: a supremely reliable machine gun and a supremely unusual, finicky pistol. So what is the Schwarzlose pistol? A failure? No, it's a monument. A monument to human audacity, an attempt to look at the world from a different angle. It's the embodiment of what if. In a world where everyone ran to the right, he tried to run to the left. It didn't work out. But without such attempts, there would be no progress. It reminds us that sometimes the path to success lies through a series of brilliant failures. It weighed only 530 grams, was compact, handy, and utterly mind-boggling. It is a rare artifact on the shelf of firearms history that makes you not just admire, but think. That's the story. A story about physics that jerks a pistol forward, and about a man who jerked an entire era of engineering thought along with him. What do you think? Did this system have any real prospect? Maybe in a world of alternative materials and digital design, it would shine with new colors? Or is it a dead-end branch of evolution forever? Be sure to write your opinion in the comments. Let's debate. And if you found this as interesting as I did, if you want more deep dives into forgotten and unusual weapons, like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement is my signal to keep digging deeper. This was hostname/channel name. Until next time in the world of forgotten histories.